At MedStory, we take privacy seriously and follow all healthcare privacy laws. Some details may be changed to protect confidentiality. The views expressed are solely those of the individual speaking and do not represent the views of their employer.
In 1978, a baby girl named Louise Brown was born in England, the first human conceived via in vitro fertilization. This was a miracle of modern science. In the US, it wasn't long before our own IVF breakthrough came. That baby, Elizabeth Carr, and she is still alive today. What began as a scientific marvel that was personal, intimate, and revolutionary has now become a multi-billion-dollar business. One that has transformed the most vulnerable moment in many people's lives into an assembly line, a gold rush, or even a marketplace. Today on the MedStory Podcast, we explore how this happened and what one fertility doctor is doing to bring the humanity back to this process. Meet Dr. Pietro Baroletto, a top fertility doctor with a secure venture-backed position, but recently he walked away.
I spent the last 3 years working at a large private equity-backed clinic and had a really wonderful time. Patients got pregnant, but myself and 2 other colleagues at the same clinic found ourselves complaining about the same things. I wish I could just make this better. If I could just wave my magical wand. And I think whenever you're part of like a large corporate network, your ability to wave your magic wand kind of goes away.
This isn't just a story of personal dissatisfaction. It's a story of an industry at a crossroads between access and empathy, between opportunity and overreach. So let's rewind for just a moment. IVF began in the United States around the 1980s. At this time, it was confined to small, high academic medical centers. The care was slow, often experimental, but it was personal. But then the demand exploded.
In a business like fertility, these things are expensive and most people are paying cash for fertility treatment. And you start to see consolidation when there's a smaller number of players in the market.
Consolidation. The same thing that we saw in dentistry and in cosmetic surgery. In the 2000s and 2010s, private equity moved in. Money flowed and clinics grew.
You started to see lots of consolidation where 40-50% of IVF centers are private equity backed. The other 50% are still private practice owned. Now that's just who owns what. If you actually look at the volume, most IVF cycles in the United States are actually done in those private equity backed clinics. Something like 60 to 70% of the actual treatment being provided is being concentrated in those centers.
And while that growth improved access for some, something else started to erode.
Whenever anything gets too big, the person that's left behind is the patient in the middle, having a hard time getting someone on the phone, feeling a little bit like a number.
Dr. Baroletto and his colleagues decided to leave the conveyor belt behind.
We decided, let's put our money where our mouth is. Let's see if we can be the change we wish to see in the world.
They're calling their new clinic Terra Fertility. It's a small, independent, built from scratch, not just with ambition, but they're being super intentional about the human experience.
Communication. I think if you had to ask patients, what's your number one gripe in a large healthcare setting, and it's not just exclusive to private equity clinics, it happens in academic centers, it happens in large doctors' offices. Just wish I could get someone on the phone.
So they decided to reinvent it.
When you are redesigning the experience for patients, you have to think about what are the tools that exist in 2025 that allow patients to have constant access and contact to the people that they need during their fertility journey, reduce stress, get questions answered, and ultimately just make the experience easier and better for them.
But building a business from the ground up isn't all big dreams and patient-first ideals.
We're figuring out the small stuff, the stuff that you didn't think you needed to figure out, making sure that the clinic has a dumpster, having a cleaning service that will come clean the clinic overnight. These are little kind of nuances when you've been so focused on getting insurance contracts, making sure you buy the best embryology incubators on the market, making sure you buy the most technologically advanced automatic semen analysis tool on the market. That's fun stuff, but the other stuff is kind of necessary too. It's a lot of work, but intellectually a ton of fun.
The goal isn't just better care. It's finding scalable technology that really powers transformation and change. And see, because Dr. Baroletto sees a future where care isn't confined by geography or wealth.
I think how we deliver care 20 to 40 years from now, the next 40 years of IVF, I think we're going to see patients having different ways to evaluate their hormones. I think the at-home monitoring devices that are being developed for scanning the ovaries in the comfort of your own home, rather than having to come into the office and have someone place a transvaginal ultrasound probe in the vagina and look around. Those are coming to market. Those are all being developed. We'll see that in our lifetime. It's a big deal.
But the heart of his vision isn't technology. It's something bigger.
If you're listening to this and you've been struggling to conceive, you should know that it's not your fault. Infertility just happens in the same way that heart disease happens, in the same way that high blood pressure, high cholesterol just happens. It's a medical disease that you should have someone look into.
So what would he say to all those families still waiting?
In the modern era, the vast majority of patients that walk through our doors were able to help become parents. And that may not be necessarily the way that they envisioned becoming parents with their own eggs, their own sperm, or their own uterus, because we live in the United States and have access to different reproductive strategies. So we have lots of options.
At the time of this recording, Terra Fertility hasn't even opened up its doors, but there's already a wait list of 480 people. It's clear that people are hungry for something different. And to the other doctors who feel the same hunger, but are afraid to leave the safety of the system,
entrepreneurship, I think, is a personality trait. And if you feel like you have it, then you should act on it sooner rather than later. Intellectually challenging, financially challenging, but so incredibly rewarding.
And if you do, you might just bend the arc of history.
Everything that I do that is successful ends up in someone's arms at home for the next 18 years. That kind of connection from A to B is really stinking cool.
After talking to Dr. Baroletto, he made one thing super clear. If you are going through infertility, just know it's not your fault. There are an increasing amount of options that can help you reach the goal of building a family. And for every patient who feels forgotten by the system, there are doctors quietly working to rewrite it, just like Dr. Baroletto and his team. They're not just opening clinics, but they're opening a new chapter of what fertility care can look like. And maybe, just maybe, the next breakthrough won't come from new technology, but remembering that medicine is human, that care is relationship, and that healing starts with listening. If this episode moved you or made you think differently, then please share it, talk about it, and start the conversation. And if you're a healthcare innovator, doctor, nurse, scientist, entrepreneur, this podcast is for you and is just the beginning. My name is Spencer Locke, and this is the MedStory Podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thanks for listening to the MedStory Podcast, where we share the stories of the greatest minds in science and medicine. I'm your host, Spencer Locke, with a special thanks to our executive producer, Shaina May. Our music comes from Blue Dot Sessions and the Descript Audio Library. The MedStory Podcast is made possible by MedStory Studios and listeners like you. So if you'd like to support us, please leave a review. It means more than you know. And if you have a story to share or want to produce a podcast of your own, reach out to us at info@medstorymedia.com. We'll see you in the next episode.